Today's episode of the It's Needed podcast is brought to you in part by Thin Line Anthem. Thin Line Anthem is a supplement brand created by first responders for first responders, and they are offering our listeners the exclusive deal of 25% off your entire order at checkout. So go to their website, thinlineanthem.com, stock the cart up as much as you can, and enter the promo code It's Needed. All capital letters, no spaces, for 25% off your entire order. Enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement and the community. It's your boy, Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's a Popo. If you guys are listening, you guys are probably thinking you guys had the wrong episode.
What's up, everybody? Everybody stop clapping. It's okay. You don't got to clap for me. You don't got to clap.
Oh, man. I've never changed my voice.
I appreciate the love, everybody.
I think Billy was a little mad that I changed my voice up. He was like, bro, that's not going to get listeners.
So we're going with that? We're going with that intro?
I can change it up. I can change it back up to the... Oh, man. So, what's going on, everybody? I'm joined by Light Skin Warner. I'm joined by the Savage himself. We are back for another episode. We officially, after this episode, have one more podcast episode left of the year 2020. And boy, was this year a doozy. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. It was a doozy, to say the least.
Yes, it was.
But for some, it was really, really good. And that's because you chose to make the decision yourself to have a good year despite what the externals will bring to you. So anyways, AJ, looks like you got some current events to share with us. And I say looks like because just looking at throw your hands. Can you throw your hands in the air for me? Wave them like you just don't care.
Just throw your hands in the air.
It's gotta be
I got
singular.
one hand and I don't care.
It's got to be singular.
Just so everybody knows. Well, first off, Billy, I didn't clap. Should I clap right now? I just did it. There you go. Just so everybody knows what that was. Keep in mind, I got one arm right now. Like I have one functioning arm. Other one is like permanently in the sling. And the first thing Billy says to me is, "Hey, AJ, I need you to clap real quick." I see how it is, Billy.
I didn't understand it at first, and then I looked at it. I was like, "Oh, he talking about his busted arm that he has over there." So. You know, and then the other part is like my hand is in like a stress ball. Like there's like a stress ball attached to this thing. So I don't know why. It's just there. So oh my goodness, I couldn't clap if I wanted to. Well, hey, at least it's your left hand too. So was that your arm that was that the arm that delivered the punch heard around the world? No, I'm right-handed. I throw my overhand rights with my right, which is why it's called an overhand right. That wasn't the punch wasn't 2020. That was 2019, right? Yeah, it was 2019. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. But it crept its way into 2020, and I have a feeling it's gonna creep its way into a couple more years. Oh. I just need everybody to know this. I shared this with Ryan and Billy, and this like legitimately makes me like laugh, and I'm not sure that it should. So back when the punch happened, I got a message. Actually, it was a little after, so it was May. I got a message on Instagram from Big Kid 1400. Make sure you check him out. It's offensive. It's a fake account. Like it ain't nothing on there. But the caption was like a picture of me during the riots, and it said, "I hope the city burns right down in your face, just like the rest. You ain't bleep pig." So I didn't respond, right? Like I get messages like this all the time. So I'm like, whatever, right? Yeah. So literally an hour later, okay, the first message came in at 6:11 a.m. Like he was up early to let me know that I ain't bleep. An hour later, not even an hour later, an hour later, 7:13. Guess what? You still ain't bleep. wait, it gets better. 12:30 the same day, still ain't bleep. 7:48 p.m. One man said his alarm clock. Listen, so I probably have 50 messages from this guy. Did you screenshot all these? I got the whole conversation saved. Oh, it's in my DM.
Hopefully he's a podcast listener. Well, shout out to you.
What you don't know is that was actually Billy doing that.
Yeah. You still ain't bleep.
Still ain't bleep. So it gets funny because then like he dropped off for a few days. And he sends me a message in August. He goes, "You still ain't bleep." And I'm like, "Man, you fell off. I thought you would give up a harder fight." And he goes, nope, I'm still here just to remind you every day that you ain't bleep. So I'm like, stay strong.
Oh, he's my new fan.
Yeah, he needs to get a job.
He makes custom memes now. Like, he done stepped his game up. Like, for Thanksgiving, he sent me a Thanksgiving meme, and I'm gonna just show everybody.
Dude, that is amazing. Like, he photoshopped you in there.
Like, when I say custom meme, like, look, I mean, it's.
Hey, okay, can you send me those so we can put them on the podcast Instagram?
Bro.
I definitely can.
Yeah.
I have some respect for that guy.
Bro.
I wake up to banners, like fancy banners, just in case you didn't know.
Dude, I wonder if that's a coworker, because that's like too good.
Bro, that
This
is
was just in case no one told you today. You still ain't bleep.
Like, if you're only listening to this guy's making memes with AJ's like face on it. Like, this guy put work into it.
Oh man, so
Yeah,
go to our
Instagram.
Go to our
page,
Instagram account. We'll post it up on there.
That's hilarious.
That's phenomenal. Great stuff.
Yeah,
Great work,
so
kid.
It's pretty entertaining. Like, I look forward to it. I'm like, if I don't hear from him, I'm worried something happened to him. Like,
Great
hey,
work,
you okay?
kid. Great work.
Yeah, I'm still here. You ain't bleep. Okay,
Oh,
let's make
great
sure.
work. Great work.
I almost forgot today.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well,
So that's my current event, man. That's my current event. I start physical therapy Monday. So,
Good.
Pray for me,
Ooh,
because
that
I heard
hurts.
this ain't no joke.
That
I heard the
hurts.
physical therapy ain't no joke. That's what's going on my way, man. It's cold. I just been chilling, getting fat. You see it. I'm getting like chubby in the face and waist. I got back fat now. I looked in the mirror the other day. I was like, ooh.
Oh, yeah. You
Ooh,
need some.
my back is
I know what
jiggly.
you need.
I need a thin line.
Thin
I already,
line
look, I
anthem.
already,
You need some thin
I
line
already
anthem.
called McBride up. I said, hey, when I start physical therapy, I'm starting it. Like, I need them subs because I'm getting after it. So,
Oh man,
yeah, that's
thin line
happening.
anthem. That sounds like thin line anthem problem. How you doing, Billy? What's new? What's new with you, Brody?
Nothing, man. Hey, you have kids.
I got an iPhone 13, y'all.
Yeah. You have kids and everyone listening, at the 18th month mark, did your baby kind of like, he's like not eating, like his sleeping got jacked up? Did that ever happen to you? Because he's a great sleeper and he's been kind of freaking out.
It switches. It definitely switches.
Yeah, it definitely fluctuates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it fluctuates. Because sometimes I remember Rylan, she would be like, she was the best sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would be times where all of a sudden she started waking up in the middle of the night. I'm like,
You don't want to go back to that.
So Kimberly actually told me a story last night. She put my kids to sleep. My oldest, who's 7, he he sleepwalks. I used to sleepwalk, so I think he gets his sleepwalking for me.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah. So
You can't just glide
Like,
right
you
past
just wake
that.
up and start walking around?
So one of the stories I remember when I was younger, and the only reason I remember this is because my family told me about it, and I vividly remember doing it. I was so tired, and so my mom was calling me to come downstairs and go eat. And so I literally got up, walked downstairs. I was already asleep upstairs. So I got up, walked downstairs, went into the garage, went in our van, because at the time we had a little minivan, got into the van, went back to sleep. And they were like, what are you doing? And they were like trying to talk to me, but I didn't say anything. So anyways, Grayson will sleepwalk. Like, he'll get up out of his sleep, and it's almost kind of freaky. But last night he got up, was at the bottom of the staircase, and Kimberly was like, Grayson, what are you doing? And then
That's terrifying.
No, too many horror movies
he was like,
start like that.
He was like,
That's what I'm saying. I'll mess around,
he
kick
said
my
something like,
kid.
he said something like walking with like the penguins. So then he start like crawling up the stairs, and Kimberly was
All
like,
right now. See, all right.
So-
All right. I'm not staying at your house no
So do you
more.
go hands on or do you get your taser?
oh man. So, but yeah, so little man sleepwalks. But yeah, all kids are different, bro. Like they.
So is it true what they say? Like, you're not supposed to wake a sleepwalker up?
Like, grab them? I heard it's dangerous.
I don't
is
know.
that what you're
Probably.
saying?
I don't know.
Well, no, I just seen this in movies. Like, if you wake a sleepwalker up, like, they get super aggressive.
They panic. I don't know, but like I said, I know I used to sleepwalk back in the day. And Grayson, he's done it a few times because I think you're just so tired, but your mind is just moving.
Yeah. My thing is I can't sleep in the bed right now, so I've been sleeping on the couch, so I don't deal with this right now. But normally I'm sleeping in the bed. Shelby wakes up way before I do. Like, she gets up at like 6 a.m. to get ready for work. And then she'll wake me up to give me a kiss goodbye. And in my mind, somebody's killing me. Like, I wake up ready to go. Like, I'm surprised I ain't like accidentally like caught her with that.
Shelby's like, Chill out.
Yeah,
Really?
it's intense. So now she'll like kind of like nudge my toe, like, "Hey, babe,
Oh my goodness. Hey,
I'm leaving."
I'll be out, bro. I don't got a care in the world. It's funny. I'll drink an energy drink and go to sleep. Like I had no problem sleeping at all. Like I know people
I can drink coffee and go to sleep.
Like people
yeah,
talk
I can't
about
drink
like they
energy
struggle sleeping, bro. Like I'll be out, bro. Kimberly laughs at me because I can go sit anywhere and I'll just be out. I'll be in the middle of a restaurant, bro, just be asleep.
Oh no, I can't do that. I need to be laying down. So this has been a struggle for me.
The one place I can't sleep is if somebody else is driving. That's the one place I can't sleep.
Oh yeah, no, because I don't trust everybody driving.
Nah.
I get motion sick too. Like when I was riding with Ryan, listen, boy.
Hey,
Ryan drives
like it's a video game. Like I'm like, hey, chill, kill your side, bro. Like, y'all wild out in Cali. What's the speed limit out here, man?
I second that.
Yeah, whatever, fellas.
He driving with his knee. He got a phone in each hand. I'm like,
we know how to drive, y'all. That's what we do out here.
Hey,
this
bro,
is what we do, son.
Stop.
This is what we do. So I got a couple current events actually that are actually going to lead into topics, I think. The first topic or the first current event is, let me just tell you guys, I'm sure you guys already know this, but the crime right now across the world is
oh my goodness.
It is crazy. Like all the old heads at my job, like the guys that, you know how the guys will be like, oh, back in my day, we used to do this, and that. You know, used to be crazy around here, blah, 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 blah. Which there's truth to it, but you know how they just always back in my day. Even all the old heads right now at my department are like, man, I haven't seen it this bad since the early 90s. Like,
this is like crack epidemic bad.
Bro, like, so let me give you guys a little context. In the last so the city that I work in, if we have one or two homicides, if we have one homicide a year, we're like, okay, we hit our average. 2, oh shoot, man, we above average this year. 3, wow, the world is ending. Bro, we're at 7 right now.
Wow.
We're at 7.
Wow.
4 within the last 2 weeks.
What's the population of the area you work?
We have over 100,000 people. So, but mind you, the city I work in, it's a really, like, a few years ago, it was named top 25 places for young families to come and
so it's a nice area.
Yeah,
it's a nice area. Yeah, it's a very nice. It's older.
Wow.
There's some older parts, some newer parts, but for the most part, it's a really good area, nice area. We have like our what would you call it? Like our inner cities in Chino, but it's not like nothing crazy. But bro, so we had 4 of those homicides in the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, we had a double homicide last weekend. The weekend before that, we had a guy that was killed on the freeway. And then this last week, we had a guy who essentially, in this one, I can't really get, can I get, yeah,
details? Don't get yourself in trouble.
I guess I could get into details because I'm not going to use names. But essentially, long story short, we got a call because somebody heard shots. And so typically, and AJ, you could probably relate to this. You know, sometimes you'll get somebody call in and say, hey, I think I heard a gunshot. But it's usually like fireworks or whatever way it may be.
Or a transformer explode.
Yeah, exactly.
Something. Yeah.
But when you get multiple callers saying the same things, you're like, oh, this is probably real. So this night we got a call saying, hey, look, we got shots heard, 4 gunshots heard or whatever. So anyways, long story short, we get there. There's definitely a victim down on the ground. And you know what? I'm not going to get into it. Just for the sake of, because I don't want to. Just thinking about it, it's still ongoing investigation. But let's just say it was a crazy situation that escalated very quickly. So we had that that happened on that was Wednesday. That was on Tuesday for me. On that day prior, we had a bad traffic collision in our city where this car went off the road. Multiple callers saying the car is on fire. We get there, and it was actually the same day. Actually, no, it was Monday because it was the day that I made that post about law enforcement being heroes or first responders being heroes and not getting the recognition and credit. Same day, 3 of my partners pulled 2 people from the vehicle, this burning vehicle. Legitimately, and bystanders actually captured it on camera. It was on the news and everything like that. Like you could see him dragging them from the vehicle. Unfortunately, the driver, young girl, 18 years old, she died. She was in the driver's seat, and she ended up burning. So when I went and looked at her, it's crazy because when I'm looking at her, she looked like a dude because all of her hair, she looked bald, but it's because all of her hair burned off. And so her legs were kind of like melted into the car, and like she was just down. It was just a horrific scene. And you look at her picture prior to that, because we got to do the investigation, like, man, like you would never know that this was the same girl. So I was on that night. The night before that, we were given CPR, and that's actually what prompted that post that I made. We were giving CPR to the guy that was in his 50s who ended up not making it out of it. So that was all in a matter of 3 days. So I went on COVID-19 related death. I went on a traumatic traffic collision. Then I went on this shooting where the guy was actually killed in front of his son. And so we talk about trauma and law enforcement and how we face it, man. It was just a wild week for current events.
And do you know what your record is, like your homicide record for a year?
I don't know, actually. And I would have to go back and get more info, because the reason they compared it to the early 90s, because in the early 90s, one of our most active gangs was actually like legitimately doing gang work, and they were killing people left and right. So I don't know what the record is, but I do know that this year is probably going to be up there as one of the highest years.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys do with that child at the scene and afterwards? Like, what happens to them? What's the process?
Good for you talking about the shooting or when the
dad died, like the kid's just at the scene.
We get them away from that as quickly as possible. At some point in time, the kid is going to need to be interviewed, but there's special interviewers that do those interviews, not at our apartment. So they're called forensics interviews, and there are people that are specialized solely in interviewing children that are involved in a traumatic incident, whether it be sexual abuse, whether it be witness to a murder investigation, whatever it is. There's certain special things that have to happen. But our initial response is we remove them, because he was legitimately like the ambulance or the EMTs and the fire department. They're working on this guy. We're working on him, and the kid is just standing like in the car, like, and he even asked the question like, "Is my daddy gonna be okay?" So it was just, it was tragic. It was very, very tragic. But that all happened in a matter of 3 days. And I'm thinking, and so that kind of brings me to my point of, faith in law enforcement. And some people may get tired of me bringing up my faith, but I'm never going to stop doing it, just because this is a prime example of what helps me cope with things. Like my faith is the only explanation for things. And the reason I say it's the only explanation is because, again, getting to the Bible, it talks about, how he'll give you the peace that surpasses all understanding. And like, that's the only thing. Because I've realized that I'm not going to understand everything. I'm not going to understand why this 18-year-old girl died in a car accident as tragically as she did. I'm not going to understand why this kid's dad was killed right in front of him. I'm not going to understand those things. I'm not going to try to understand them. And I'm not going to even try to like say, well, what if this, what if that? Because if I do, it's just going to start me down this rabbit hole. So my faith is the only thing that, fulfills that void.
Yeah. The interesting part is I know, from other officers that records, like homicide records, are being shattered countrywide. Big cities and even smaller cities are shattering their homicide record. I mean, even here in Columbus, Ohio, I think our previous record was 146 or 147. And to date, I think we're at 164. So it's already broke. And we're still having homicides. Like, people ain't just stopping killing people because it's like, oh, it's Christmas time. No.
Making them more mad.
It is. I mean, it's just getting worse. Like, it's legitimately getting worse.
Stimulus check ran out. But heard we get another stimulus check. They're supposed to approve it today.
But I heard that it's going to be different. Like, you have to make under a certain, like they changed the income.
No, it sounds like it's going to be like the same like last time.
I mean, I don't know.
He said that with such authority. I believe him.
I read up on it right before we walked in, actually, because I want to know how much money my account about to get.
$600, right?
Is there a date? Is there like a date?
It's $600. So it's so if you're listening to this, they're supposed to approve it today. It sounds like, and if that happens, if you're single and make up to $75,000, you get $900. And then my numbers could be wrong. And then it's $600 for every child, every dependent child.
What if we're pregnant?
I know.
Oh, you about to be rich, Ryan? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. Psych. So then, and then I think it said if you're married and as long as you don't make over like $195 as a couple, then you get $1,200. So
You get $600 per kid.
and you get it's either $400 or $600.
I mean, Ryan, that's a cool $5,200 coming your way right
Psych.
there. Off rip. Just
Psych.
That should last him another 9 months until the next one.
Yeah, hold it. Y'all got jokes. Y'all got jokes. So, here it is right here. So, up to $75,000 a year. Individuals making up to $75,000 a year will receive a direct cash payment of $600, while couples making up to $150,000 will receive $1,200 on top of $600 per kid.
Look, thanks for trying to help us out, but what does $600 do for any single person?
Hey, I'll
Nothing,
take it. I'll take it.
man.
I'll
Come
take
on.
it, though.
I'll take. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna send it back. I'm not gonna send it back.
Well, send it back to him, Billy.
right.
Like, I'll wait for more.
You know,
We're pretending like
you
they're
know
doing
what
something.
I just thought.
Go ahead.
What
sorry.
I just thought about was no, you're good. This is the first year we had a kid, so we get like a little tax break this year, huh?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, tax time come around
do.
for Ryan. He like, yes, sir.
That's why.
Hey, bro.
That's why me and my wife are having number 2.
Why do you think we keep popping them out, bro? These kids make money, bro. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
So Billy, you had your little one before. So your tax season last year, you got to claim him, right?
I did.
Was it a decent tax break?
I think so, but because I work for myself, I always owe, or something like that. So it was okay though.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'm trying to spend the money before I get it. Like when somebody say some money coming my way, I'm already like, ooh, okay, I could buy it.
But back to what we were talking about though. These
We'll be getting off track.
I know, my bad. But these crimes though, you're absolutely right. Just our neighboring city, just yesterday, bro, they had 3 stabbings and 2 shootings in the same day. In the same day, they had a shooting where, so I guess everybody gathered around this memorial site for somebody that was just recently shot there. And so some other cats went and did a drive-by. So they requested mutual aid because a lot of the other gang members were out there making this crazy fuss about it all. So they called for some people at our department to come over there and help them. And when our members of the department got there, they were like, bro, there was like 50 or 60 shell casings all on the ground. So then they also had a stabbing where some transient got into it with people. And as he got into it with all these people, he ends up just slashing the throat of some random guy in front of him.
Whoa.
Bro, all in the same day.
That person, this is a stupid question. That person passed away?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I asked. I don't know.
Okay.
So I want to read 2 things. I'm not going to say who they came from. I'm going to just read them. They go with this. So the first thing that I'm going to read comes from this past Thursday. The Thursday that just passed, this happened. And it says, let me be careful here. By the way, I didn't see it in the news, so I thought I'd let you know. There have been more homicides in the past 72 hours than you could count on one hand. When is enough? So you may be thinking, well, AJ, Ryan, Billy, why is this a thing? You know, why are homicide records being broken? Why are people getting killed at alarming rates? I'm going to read this to you, and it's kind of a little longer, but just bear with me here. So it goes, hi, I just wanted to send you a safety alert on some things happening in, should I say where? Central Ohio. That you could share with your friends. Full disclosure, I am sending you this as a private citizen. So the person who wrote this is basically removing themselves from getting in trouble. You know, I'll just blah, 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 blah. I'm retired. Okay, here we go. Last Friday, just after the election, blank department changed their policy. So now officers are not allowed to arrest criminals for non-violent misdemeanors, with a few limited exceptions. Their only resource is to try to identify the suspect and send a request to the prosecutor's office to issue this person a summons. Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to get to the good part here.
Of course, the summons will work.
That's what I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't hear you.
I was just saying the summons is a great idea. That'll work.
Right. So he goes on to say they also changed it. So instead of arresting for a violent misdemeanor like assault, they can go through the same process, which has never been the case before. I hear this policy change came from the city attorney's office and not from blank brass, meaning like the higher ups, chief, deputy chief, whatever. And is the latest but not last social justice change to come. So this means if you are shopping at, he names a very nice shopping mall or anywhere in this city, Someone can break into your car, steal all of your belongings as long as they don't value over $1,000, and the officer cannot arrest them. Same thing goes with shoplifting, trespassing, and many other crimes. Walk out your restaurant bill, no problem. You could even openly masturbate in front of you and your kids as long as they don't try to lure your kids. Even if they are caught at the scene, the police officers can only get their identity and then release them.
If they're caught in the act?
In the act, because it is a non-violent offense, misdemeanor.
I think sexual crime should always be considered violent. How is that?
Imagine being a store owner. And someone throws a brick through your window, comes in, takes stuff. You just happen to see an officer walking by. You grab the officer grabs this guy, and they're like, well, okay, Mr. Whatever, Mr. Criminal, here's your summons. And hey, I'm going to leave. Don't do that again.
Man, if I start stealing $1,000 worth of stuff every day, I got a pretty good living.
Well,
what?
And it's the same thing that's going on in LA right now, which, by the way, the DA Garcon or whatever his name, he's actually facing heat from a lot of these victims of these violent, the families of the victims of violent crimes are like, bro, like what you're doing is the reason my family member is dead or whatever it is.
100%.
Because of these violent offenders.
Yep.
I think that's what people don't understand. Let me pause right there. I don't think people understand that when people do nonviolent offenses, it's not like that's the only thing and they're done and they're not going to do anything. Like it's kind of like a chain. It's like a cycle. That's just a part of the cycle that they're on of criminal behavior. So if you go and steal from Target, you're not stealing and like, that's the only crime I've ever done in my life. That's just a part of your cycle. So you probably have drug abuse on that cycle, which is probably what led you to Target. And once you get to Target, you steal whatever. So once you leave there, you go and flip that TV, get money so you can obtain more drugs. And while you're high on drugs, you're actually out there committing other crimes like violent crimes because you're not in your right state of mind. And when you're not in your right state of mind, it causes you to do things that you wouldn't typically do when you're sober. And then it's back to that same cycle. So I don't think people understand like there's a cycle that happens when people are doing these non-violent crimes. It's just a part of the cycle. It's not the whole thing. So don't get me wrong. I believe in rehabilitation. I believe there's a place for trying to get these people the resources they need to try to break that cycle. But why would we make that cycle a lot easier for them to accomplish what they would want to do without any recourse?
I would like to see
no repercussion whatsoever.
None.
I would like to see how these politicians react if their car was busted into and the cop was there watching it and saying, well, he's only stealing something that's $500. I can't do anything.
Well, that's the crazy thing, though, is that they're so hypocritical because these are the first ones that call police and they demand some type of. I just read something the other day where this lady had something happen to her.
For a policy that she's trying to change.
Yeah, and she demanded that the police do something that was in opposition to what she's proposing to do.
Yep. And the crazy part about that is these are the same people who are saying we need to get rid of the police, but have protective details, meaning they have officers that are assigned to them 24/7, right? Like you have mayors of big cities who are saying defund the police. We need to tear police down and then start fresh. But yet they have armed police officers for that same department or from that same department guarding them and their house 24/7.
Yep.
24/7.
Yep. Exactly.
So I'm going to ask a question and then I'll just answer it myself because everyone's automatically going to know the answer to this. Do you think that these politicians are these people who are changing these policies and laws really to an extent live in the areas that are affected the most?
Absolutely not.
No, they are living in their cushy house in their nice area, not worried about the repercussions. So why are they doing that? There's one of two reasons why we're seeing such a dramatic change from these politicians. The first of which is there are a handful of people who allow their hate for the police to erase all logic that they have. All logic that they have. Meaning if we broke the homicide rate this year, how can I blame the police? This has to be the police fault. I hate the police so much. Everything negative that happens in my life or everything negative that I come across has to be the police fault. Therefore, in return, they make these policies to punish the police, right? That's the first reason why these people in power continue to make these laws and these policies that handcuff police officers from doing what they need, all capital letters, need to do to increase the safety and wellness of life for everybody out there. The second reason being that they're trying to position themselves in a better position politically. So they go, okay, there are a lot of people upset with the police right now because of everything that's been going on in the news. Well, let me publicly put out a policy saying, you know what? I don't stand with the police either. I'm going to defund them, even though I have people protecting me 24/7 who are police officers and blah, 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 blah. They're pandering. They're pandering to you. Yep. And there's so many people falling for it. Oh, okay. This mayor said he going to defund the police and he going to do X, Y, and Z. He don't believe that that's going to work. He believes, or she believes, that that's going to put her or him in a better position to move up politically.
Yep, exactly.
That's it.
And that's the sad thing is like the people that are ultimately affected by it are the ones that live in these neighborhoods. You know,
I know, and
the ones that live in the neighborhoods don't understand that.
I know, and it like the sad thing is, and I'm sure Ryan, you know this, and a majority of police officers out there know this. People paint this picture that the police are just these villains and these criminals, and everyone hates them, and you can't trust them, and the inner city and like these low income areas are just so abused by the police 24/7, but from my experience, right, my personal experience, my professional experience, the experience of knowing police officers from all over the world and talking to them, that's the furthest thing from the truth. The inner city and these super high crime areas love us. You know who doesn't love us in those areas? The criminals. Mm-hmm. That's who don't like us.
As it should be.
Right. We drive through. We'll catch a middle finger. Somebody might throw something at our cruiser and run off. You know who that is? Those are the criminals. Those are the ones who are mad we're there because they can't make their money or continue their criminal behavior. Mm-hmm. The ones who are working their 9-to-5s or doing what they can do to survive and doing the right things, they love us. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are sliding us notes when they see us walking down the street or stopped at a red light. They'll ball up a piece of paper and throw it in our cruiser and say, hey, read that later. You open it up, it's got 3 addresses with drug houses on it. Like this happens every single day.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being in here. I can't be seen talking to you because I'm scared my house is going to get shot up. This is the quality of life people are living in your city right now. I'm afraid to talk to the police because people are going to be so upset. These are the laws that need to be changed. There are policies that need to be changed to allow police officers to go into these communities and do their job, not further restrict us from doing our job. If you want to change these uses of force or the officers who are out here doing corrupt and bad stuff, hold those officers accountable, right? Set an example. When you see something that is completely asinine, this officer clearly did something that he wasn't supposed to do, hold him accountable. Boom, make an example. I'm cool with that. I am perfectly fine with that because at the end of the day, that officer knew what he or she was doing was wrong. Mm-hmm. Make an example out of him. That way it resonates through the profession nationwide. And the second thing you do is make sure that your officers are equipped to do their job, meaning that they have good equipment, right? You're taking care of them, their mental health, make sure you're pouring into their mental health, their physical health. So that way when they go out, they're more than equipped to do their job. But it seems like we're getting away from that, meaning we're doing the complete opposite. Well, what's that look like? We're going to restrict the officers on what they could do, meaning you can't go out here and do X, Y, and Z because it disproportionately affects whoever, according to the numbers, I put those in air quotes, that you got from whatever study. And then on top of that, we're going to defund you. So you got to spend $1,000 of your own money every 3 years on a bulletproof vest and $100 on some boots, and your uniform allowance is stripped. So now I'm financially strapped. We don't have any mental support. So I'm already stressed because I have a stressful job on top of everything else going on. And it's a recipe for disaster.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to interrupt our podcast episode briefly to highlight our podcast sponsor, which is Thin Line Anthem. When you guys support them, it supports us. And they are a phenomenal business that is created by first responders, for first responders, to promote health and wellness. And so I take their products. My wife takes their products. I'm feeling a lot better. I've actually lost some weight, and I'm actually gaining strength in the gym. So if you guys want to start that journey to health and wellness, make sure you guys subscribe to Thin Line Anthem products. Go on to thinlineanthem.com. Utilize promo code It's Needed. All caps, no spaces. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Yep, absolutely. But that's common sense thinking.
You get me mad. I'm getting me upset here. All right.
we haven't had a passion episode in a while.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
And that's the sad thing is that's common sense, and a lot of people don't take the time to view it from that perspective. They only take the time to hop on the wagon, the popularity wagon that everybody's on, which is we don't like the police, and don't even really know why they don't like police. I never forget when I was doing presentations.
That's the crazy part about it,
man. When I was doing presentations, I never forget asking the question at the beginning of my thing that, hey, who in here doesn't like police? Everybody raise their hands. Who in here has had a bad experience with police? Everybody raise their hand. But then I pull somebody up to tell me about their bad experience.
Yep.
And you can tell they start making stuff up. It's like, okay, so you just legitimately made that up in front of me. And I know so because I can tell you're lying. So it's like you really haven't had a bad experience, but because it's so popular to not like the police, I'm going to choose to make something up so that way I can be viewed as being cool amongst my peers. So what I want to do too is I want to transition. We're going to kind of stay here, but I also want to transition into another topic that just came up. So I got a video yesterday of these officers, I think it was Virginia Beach, where officers were at a mall. They contacted a black guy that had dreads. He was with his wife and his kid. They said he fit the description of somebody that they were looking for, and they escorted him outside to talk to him, put him in handcuffs, escorted him outside. Now, as this is happening, the black guy is furious. He's fuming, losing his mind, cussing, talking about how embarrassing it is, yada, 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 yada. So on one end, I can understand why you would be mad if officers handcuffed you, walked you out, and yes, that is it can be embarrassing. I understand that.
In front of his family, like a food court, right?
Yeah, so you saw that. But the other side of it is that we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. I'm gonna read something that one of my followers, and actually, it's kind of funny. He and I have actually, I don't even know that I've never met this dude in person, but it's funny. That's the unique thing about social media is you start to develop relationships with people that you've never ever met just through time.
I know. I just read my relationship with this guy. Oh yeah,
you sure did. You sure did. You sure did. So, and by the way, you still ain't nothing. But anyways, so he actually posted this. Now, this guy, mind you, he was never pro-police. And I don't want to say he is pro-police now, but he was never pro-police. If anything, when he first started following me, he always had something negative to say. Always had something negative to say about what I said or what I did. But he has stayed with me for almost 2 years now, and we've actually had dialogue with one another. Like I'll respond back to him, like really good, mature dialogue. And so what's been happening is I've been noticing him posting more videos backing police officers than bashing us. So he posted this video yesterday, the one that we're talking about in Virginia Beach, and his initial is kind of funny because his initial thing said, he said, okay, Breaking Barriers United, I'm going to need you on this one. I'm going to look like the bad guy to my people, but to me, it is what it is. And so the caption was this, and again, this is not my words, this is his words, and mind you, this is a black guy, a black man. The captions to his video was this. I'm going to pull it up right here. Saved. Boom. Boom. All right, so the title was, Black Man Detained for Fitting Description. Are Blacks Too Sensitive? And then this is what he said. Virginia Beach police told the man he matched the description and everything I just told you. So I had responded to that, and my response to the video, because I watched the video and it was kind of hard to watch. So then it was hard to watch for not the sake of the officers, but what the officers had to deal with in that nonsense. So once I got done watching that, this is what I said. I said, man, first and foremost, before I give my 2 cents, I will acknowledge that we can and should be better as police. But This is not one of those times. We have gotten to a place where people are just making a scene to make a scene. I equate this to labeling everything as racist. When we label everything as racism, how are we truly supposed to know what is racist? As much as I am for improving police, we have to come with that same energy when speaking about all of us as it relates to community. Thank you, man, for speaking up, because it takes courage, and you shouldn't be labeled as a bad guy for speaking facts. So then this is what he told me, and this is what I kind of wanted to get into, is he said, Breaking Bears United, I swear, bro, my DM has sellout and unfollows because of this, right? Wait. I swear, bro, my DM has sellout and unfollows because of this. But right is right, and I can't be mad at officers for doing their job, and we can't keep wanting to handicap officers. They got a job to do, and as I'm seeing more and more that their job is thankless. I can appreciate we are tired, but we also have to appreciate police officers are too. I'm all for restructuring and changing funding to departments that have excessive abuse and complaint issues, but I'm not for this kid glove mentality we want to take with them. I've seen this both ways, from white to black, and all handled the same. We as blacks just have to start understanding everything isn't racist, and sometimes it's just a dang job. Keep up the fight for us, bro, and thank you for your service. Always a pleasure dialogue. But I thought that was a cool response from somebody who wasn't always pro-police. And what's funny is somebody else had left a comment, and they said, why are we even tripping off of this? Like, before, most times people would say, oh, well, see, they would have walked a white guy out, and they would have gave him the courtesy, and just, but it's because the black man, they prone him out, they put him at gunpoint, tasers. They didn't do any of that. And so somebody even said, they didn't put this guy at gunpoint, they didn't pull tasers out, they put handcuffs on him, and they walked him out. That's the same treatment that others have been asking for a long time. They do that, and he still gets criticized. And so what I'm getting at is, let's talk about this whole notion of fitting the description and whether or not it's justified or unjustified. I can tell you that there have been police departments over the years, since the inception of law enforcement, that have abused that, you match the description of somebody, therefore that's why I'm detaining you. We that's a fact. I know that it's been proven and stuff like that. But that's not always the case. As a matter of fact, especially nowadays, a majority of the time, officers have a job to do, and you probably did match some type of description. And I can say that confidently because I've been the officer that's had to detain somebody for that exact situation. I'll give you the example. We had a shooting probably about 4 or 5 months ago in our city. I kid you not. I was in the area of the shooting when it occurred. Witnesses said that they saw a black man wearing all black clothing, driving a black older model vehicle, that an older gentleman flee the scene southbound in my direction, or southbound from the shooting. So I pull into a business that's south of that location, and I see a black guy that's wearing all black clothing, and he's in an older model black vehicle sedan, and he sees me, and you can tell he kind of gets that, like, oh shoot, like cops is here, like kind of gets suspicious. So I go and talk to him. But I'm cool about it. Like, I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? How you doing? What you up to? Asking probing questions without actually accusing him of being the shooter. But he legitimately matched that description. And so I was like, so he walked in the store. And as he walked in the store, I'm trying to get as much information as I can before I detain this guy, because I want to make sure that I have a legitimate reason. So he walks out, and I have information like, yeah, I got to detain this dude. So I end up detaining him. I'm like, hey, man, sir, can you do me a favor, take a seat? And he starts getting mad initially, like, hey, man, why? That's wrong. And I understand. I'm like, hey, man, I apologize that this isn't you, but this is what's going on. We're working a shooting. Somebody said, I can tell you everything that they put out, but somebody said it was you, so that's why I have to detain you. So he actually ended up being cool. We were cool with each other, had a good conversation, but that's how it should go. People have to recognize that we have a job to do, and sometimes you just may be in the area or match a description that was put out, and therefore we have a job to do. This guy that from the Virginia Beach, he was screaming about how embarrassing it is and this and that. You just brought more embarrassment onto yourself by screaming out public. You making a scene.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
and people need to know, like,
what's your thoughts on all this that I bring up?
Yeah, and people need to know, first and foremost, like, that's not the time to play. Like I'm not playing with you in a situation like that. Like, you could be somebody that matches the description of a murder suspect. You think I'm gonna play with you? Like, you think I'm gonna sit there and have a conversation with you while you're moving around and trying to avoid being handcuffed when I think you got a gun on you? This is not the time to play. Like, and you need to realize that. Like, is it embarrassing? Absolutely, it's embarrassing. But your anger needs to not be directed at me, and it needs to be directed at that person who just did that crime, who appears or was dressed like you. Like, that's where your anger needs to be. You need to be like, well, I'm gonna help you find that dude, because now he got me embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not like you directing your anger at the wrong person, and more times than not, that's what happens, right? Like, these people are so angry in general that they need somebody to direct it at, and it's a cop. Boom, it's your fault. You embarrassing me. Blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, you saying that now, but what if that murder suspect just shot and killed your daughter that you was eating lunch with? You would want me stopping everybody in this mall looking for that person.
Yep.
You would want me to lock these doors on this mall and stop every single person, and you wouldn't care. But the fact of the matter is that you were just inconvenienced. You were inconvenienced and you were embarrassed. And I admit it was embarrassing. But what do we say all the time? Comply. Fight that fight later. This is how people get hurt.
Yep.
Now, what if you'd have moved the wrong way and that officer would have grabbed you and slammed you through the table? And you got a torn rotator cuff or something like that. For what?
Exactly.
You're doing too much. Chill, relax, take a breath, be pissed off, be embarrassed. You have a right to have those emotions. But when you're done with all of that anger and that fresh frustration, and you could think clearly, you need to direct that energy towards the person who committed that crime.
Bro, you know, it's fun. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was just talking to a lady yesterday. So I told you we had that double homicide last week. It's come to find out, it seems like a lot of it is gang related, involving Bloods and Crips from LA. So Bloods and Crips from LA, what's the predominant race for Bloods and Crips? Black people, right? And so we have information that they're coming to a certain area of our city, like basically doing their crimes out there and coming to our city to basically chill and live life, to kind of get away from it. So now their activity is bleeding over now into our city, which is causing retaliation and all these other things. So as police officers, we have a job to do, which is what? To deter crime. And so in that deterrence of that crime, we have to go and talk to people, be proactive, and make sure we try to stop this gang activity. But what's unfortunate about that? Bloods and Crips, the predominant race is black people. And so what does that mean? Probably some of these officers are going to be looking at black people a little bit more differently down in that area, because we know that there are threats of retaliation in that area. And so we're trying to keep people safe. Well, who's ultimately punished by that? The mom, the black man, the black woman who's going about their business, trying to mind their own business, and they get pulled over for whatever reason. And now they feel like they're being targeted. And it's really not the police's fault, because we're trying to deter this crime, but at the same time, they're not directing any energy towards the people that have actually started this. And that's what's so frustrating, is like, at what point do we draw the line? Like, I'm all about holding police accountable, all about it.
For sure, yeah.
I've taken heat for it. I've taken heat for it. But at the same time, at what point can I get to say, like, well, when are you going to start holding your own community accountable? When are we going to start addressing the fact of, why don't you call out the person that brought this police activity on in the first place? Like, we're sitting here arguing about how the police responded to it, as opposed to arguing what led to the police response in the first place.
I wish I could find this video. It would be a powerful video, but I have a strong feeling that the video is probably long gone. And if it's not, people really wouldn't share it like it needs to be shared. But when I was a newer officer, I want to say I had maybe 2 years on the department. I come across these two families. They're next door neighbors, and they both have young kids, like maybe like 11 or 12 year olds. And the one kid's older brother just got sent to prison. Like, I actually arrested him and sent him to prison. That's a whole other story. He was just wild. Like, he was out here robbing people, robbing dope boys, getting their house shot up and all sorts of stuff. So I really latched onto these families, and I gave their mothers, both single parent homes in the heart of the hood, like the heart of the inner city. I gave both their mothers my cell phone numbers. Like, you ever need anything, any time of the day, you call me. Like, I got you. Like I'm gonna help you raise these kids the most that I can without crossing the line. But I want to be there for you. And it just that type of relationship. So after a short period after that relationship developed, I started noticing that two of the big dope boys in that area started hanging out at the intersection where they live. The exact intersection where they live, and there's a big vacant lot, just like a big, what you would think like where a house was demolished, like just rubble and brown grass and trash everywhere, like where a house used to be, right? And they were just hanging out there. So I start asking around, like, hey, what's blank and blank doing there? And they're like, oh, they selling dope. So I'm like, well, where are they keeping it? And they go, well, what they're doing is when they get to that area, they normally have like a fast food bag or like a fast food cup. They take their dope, they put it in that empty bag or in that empty cup, and then throw it in the lot. And like that way it blends in with all the rest of the trash. They sit there. Somebody will come up and be like, let me get a nick or let me get an eighth or a tenth or whatever. And they go, all right, I'll meet you in the alley. They look around, go to the cup, open it up, grab it, throw it back, do the little deal in the alley, and that's how they did their business. So I'm like, oh, that's smart.
Very
like,
smart.
Well, I'm gonna put a stop to that, right? Like, I'm not gonna let you sit here and sell dope first off on my precinct while I'm working, but especially right here. Like, yeah, you gotta.
You should have. You should have did. You should have put a big old turd in that.
Oh yeah, exactly. When he reached his hand there, so I'm like, okay. Once I'm trying to be fair here, right? I'm gonna give him the opportunity. So I get out the car, I'll park at the intersection. I walk up to them both, and they know who I'm. They know who I am at this point. Like, I had somewhat of a reputation at this point as being like a hard charger. So I get out and I go, "Hey, what's up, y'all?" And they're like, "Oh, what's up, AJ?" Blah blah blah. And I go, "Hey, I'm gonna cut to the chase." I go, "Y'all are done here. Y'all, I'm just letting you know, y'all are done here. If not, you gonna see me more than you see any of your loved ones. Like, I'm gonna be here 24/7. Like, it's not gonna be good for you. I'm gonna do everything that I can to stop you from doing what you're doing." Like, nah, we ain't out here doing nothing, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, I told you, I'm gonna be back tomorrow. If y'all are here, we gonna be friends. All right. Sure enough, I come back the next day, they sitting there. So I'm like, all right. So I park the car, get out, and I sit right in between them. Like, they're sitting on like these like bricks that are kind of set up. That was like the old foundation of the house. I literally sit right in between them. I'm just on my phone. I ain't saying one word to them, just on my phone. Blah, 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 blah. I'm listening to music, blah, blah, blah. So one of the neighbors comes out, a different neighbor that I didn't even know. And she's like, that's right. Get them drug dealers out of here. They be out here shooting in the middle of the night. Get them out here, AJ. Get them out here. And I'm talking back to her like they ain't even there. Like, yeah, don't worry. I'm going to get them. It's only a matter of time. These my new best friends. You know who they are? So another officer pulls up. I tell him, like, hey, start searching this lot for cups or for a paper bag. So he starts looking for it. He's shining a light. This car pulls up. A lady gets out and she's got her phone and she starts recording me. And she's like, look at this cop harassing these young black men. How dare you? She didn't get a second sentence out before the two family members, the two different moms, came out their house and started cussing her out. They were like, bleep, you don't even live around here. You better get back in your car. That officer is doing his job. Like, he pours his heart into this community and just starts going out. She turns her phone off, gets in her car and drives away. Now imagine if those families would have never came out, or if she would have edited the clip and you just would have seen me sitting there talking to the guys while somebody's behind me with a flashlight looking through stuff. People would have been like, oh my goodness, they're harassing these two white officers are harassing these black guys and blah, blah, blah. Like, not knowing all these details, right? It's just like, man, I wish that video would surface because it shows how manipulative or how wrong and passionate people can be.
Bro, that and this is real stuff. Like, when we talk, we're not just making this stuff. Like, literally last night, less than a few hours ago, I went on a call for some guy that was presumed to be under the influence and just walking and just in some random neighborhood. So we go talk to him, and sure enough, he was under the influence. And so as we're detaining this kid, and he wasn't black, he was a Hispanic kid, these people whose house we were in front of, my partner went to go talk to him, and the dude is like, oh man, like, oh, what are you out here harassing this kid for, and blah 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 blah, and this and that and blah. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, bro, first of all, you don't even know why we're here. Second of all, you don't know. This dude could have just committed an armed robbery, a homicide. You don't know.
Right,
all you
right.
see is us just talking to some cat, and now we're
On 10.
harassing him. Exactly.
Right.
Third, you don't realize that your other neighbors around here actually called to talk to this gentleman because they believe he's under the influence, which he was. And so we're getting him out of the neighborhood, but yet you want to sit here and say, oh, y'all harassing him, leave him alone, I could take him home. Like, this kid don't even know you.
Right.
You want to take this kid home, he don't even know you. You don't let's just say we said, okay, go ahead and take him home, and let's just say he was the homicide suspect. You gonna take him home now?
Right. Right.
You gonna take him home?
You should let him in for dinner.
Yeah, you might as well. Might as well.
You want him to eat with you?
You might as well let him use your
right?
shower. Let him use your shower. And that's the thing. And so
Don't call me in an hour, all right?
Exactly.
You don't want me here, so
bruh. And that's just so. That's the crazy thing is just like people have no context, but be so quick to start judging situations, and it's like it just. And I will admit, like there are times as police officers we can be better. I actually just did a post the other day, and somebody critiqued me and said, hey, look, you typically don't come out ahead of time without knowing all the facts, because I usually don't do that. But you saw the video where the guy got hit with the car that was running from the car,
the truck, big old truck.
Exactly. And so my thing was, the reason I came out with that one, I mostly compared everything to I mostly compared it all to the Graham versus Connor and Tennessee versus Gardner. Because utilizing a deadly a vehicle is considered deadly force. So that none of that was opinion. That's all facts. So the reason I say that it was a hard no, whether or not that force was justified or not, is because we as officers also have to be able to think too and look like, okay, the only situation that I can see that would make this force justifiable is if there was some guy 2 feet away from him that he was attempting to kill or harm, because deadly force is only warranted if you believe that person poses an imminent threat to you or somebody else in the immediate area, and you got to be able to articulate that. Let's just say the dude killed 2 people. Yeah, he could be known as an imminent threat, but if you can see his hands
for sure,
and he ain't reaching in his pockets, is he an imminent threat at that moment in time?
Yeah.
And so,
or if you could articulate that if you let him get away, the likelihood that he'll do it like immediately again if he runs into somebody, like if he's running towards a school or running towards like a playground. Yeah, exactly.
So absolutely. But the reason I came forward on and said what I said is just because those things are very, very far stretched. Just the same way as we as officers sometimes will be like, oh, that's very far stretched when people reach in about things that we do. It's the same thing. And so we also got to be honest about situations. And I always say, if more comes out later and it's deemed to be justified, all day I'll change my stance on it. But those things like that helps to develop a transparency piece with the community, and it helps to develop a relationship. It's not us giving into the community. It's a mere fact of acknowledging when we do things right and we do things wrong, so that way we can start to develop that trust. And that's how we start getting beyond, people just laying out some small facts and not giving the whole picture, and so we move forward together as law enforcement in the community.
I'm gonna just take a turn here real quick. What are we looking at time wise?
We got about another about 10 minutes or less.
We got I have this podcast one got to go, so we could wait. We could wait till like 5 minutes or something like that. But I have this episode of one got to go.
Well, Billy left though.
Oh, Billy, you little bleep.
I know. So I forgot to tell you. So Billy left because he had to because Lil Man's getting them shots today.
Oh man, I mean we can still do it. Me and you can do it.
Okay, that's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. So all right, Ryan. Just to switch gears, just to end on a high note. We got one more episode left, and that's gonna be. We need to make that last episode something to go out on, a super high note, something powerful, something motivational to send everybody into the next year. So let's give them a taste of that. With all the negativity, with all of the hate, with all of the lies, all of the deceit going on directed towards officers, give our law enforcement professionals some motivation and some encouragement right now before we sign off.
Boom. All right. So here it is to all law enforcement officers or aspiring law enforcement officers out there. At the end of the day, crime is going to be crime. Crime is not going away. It's only increasing, and somebody needs to be there to be that wedge in between the good versus the bad. Your family could be victim of it. You can be victim of it, but somebody is going to be a victim to crime. At the same time, you have the opportunity to go and be with people on the darkest of darkest days. You have that opportunity to be the light at the end of their tunnel. So despite what's going on, despite DAs trying to make it harder for us to do our job, despite us having to take more paperwork for situations that we shouldn't be taking paperwork for in the first place, despite them trying to tie our hands behind our back, and despite them trying to dismantle some police departments, the one thing that holds true is people will always need you. They will always need you to show up when nobody else wants you. They will need you to show up in the midst of a storm, and they will need somebody to show up and be the light at the end of that dark tunnel. And therefore, that is why this profession is a calling. And therefore, if you're thinking about this, that's why you might be just called to this profession, just like me and AJ were. And so I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you want to be a police officer, if you're currently a police officer, take your mind off the negativity. That's what AJ and I are here for, because we're going to allow you to be able to say, yes, they understand, they get it, they know what I'm going through. Allow this podcast to be your vent session. But once you walk out the studio, once you walk out this vent session, it's time for you to go ahead and turn it on, turn those knobs on, turn all the switches on, and you need to go out there and be the best officer you can be, because not only do you deserve it, but your community deserves it, and you have a chance to be the best officer and what the future of modern day policing looks like. You have that ability. Don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry about what other laws they pass. Don't worry about them trying to tie your hands behind your back, because you can control what you can control. And that's what I live by. Every single day I put my boots on, I put my vest on, I put my gun on my hip. I go out there and I do what I can control. I know what I can control, and what I can control is being the best version of Ryan Tillman and leaving it all on the field like Jesus Christ has called me to do. So with that is your motivation for 2021.
Yes,
it's to go out there and make this the best year you've ever seen, and to go out there and leave this profession better than what it was in 2020.
And that, my friends, is why Ryan Tillman is a professional speaker. Mic drop.
Not at all.
Hey, just real quick, if you're listening to this, I need you to be a plant. And what that means is, throughout life, people are going to throw dirt on you. Part of growing to become a plant, right, or a tree, or whatever that seed is that you put under the soil, is exactly that. Being under the soil. Soil is another word for what? Dirt. You're going to be tossed in the mud. You're going to have people throw dirt on your name. It's okay. It's part of the process. Another part of the process for certain plants is what? Trimming. You have to trim these plants, right? You cut a branch off for it to split and grow into two, for it to grow out bigger, grow out larger, grow out taller. People are going to stop being your friends. God is trimming them out of your life. People are going to cut you. People are going to harm you. It's okay. It's going to make you stronger. But just like a plant, you're going to grow bigger. You're going to grow taller. You're going to go stronger. There are lessons learned with every cut. The second to last thing is you're going to go through the storm, right? There's so many times, especially in this profession, that you go through the storm and it seems like the rain will never stop. We have to water these plants in order for them to grow. And that's what's happening right now in your life. If you're going through a storm, you're getting water. Embrace the rain. Embrace the rain. We need it. It's nutrients. We need it. Let it rain. Let it rain. Let it rain. Let it rain. So by the time you come out, you're like, that was refreshing. I'm ready for my next pouring. I'm ready for my next storm to come, right? And the last thing is you need sun. So how do you do that? You go out into the world and you get what you need, right? The sun is positivity. Like Ryan said, like, we make sure that we control what's going into our bodies, meaning we're looking constantly for sun. The gym, okay, I need to work out. That's a good stress reliever. That's part of my sun. My faith, that's a huge stress reliever for me. That's the foundation for every single thing that I do. That's the sun. And I ain't talking about the S-O-N. I'm talking about the S-U-N, all right? Or vice versa, right? I'm talking about the sun, S-O-N.
S-O-N.
And when you do all of these things, right? When you combine all of these things, what do plants do? They give oxygen. They give life. So when you get your head right, when you're done with the dirt on top of you, when you're done with the rain, when you're done with the cuts, and you have your sources of sunlight and your sources of energy and your outlets, give life. Give life, pass that on to other people, and watch your life change. Watch your life change.
And that's why AJ is a better professional speaker than Ryan Tillman.
I don't know about that. I just
Mic
said,
drop.
yeah, not the S-O-N, but the S. I mean, how you spell son real quick?
All right, cool. Let's do it. One got to go. Let's
one got to go. All right. 4th of July,
Uh-huh.
New Year's Eve, Christmas, or Thanksgiving. Quick caveat. If you get rid of the 4th of July, you ain't really an American, all right?
No. You can't give caveats.
I can't.
You can't give caveats because now you're trying to persuade me.
No, I give everyone a little
whatever,
caveat.
whatever.
New Year's Eve, if we don't have New Year's Eve, we're stuck in 2020 for the rest forever.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Christmas, self-explanatory. All right.
Okay.
Self-explanatory. Thanksgiving, I think Joe Biden said it best. If you
All right, I got it. I got mine. Somebody gonna hate me, especially all of our listeners on here. Hey, 4th got to go, bro. The 4th got to go. I'm sorry.
I'm the same, bro.
I could do fireworks any day of the week, bro. But I love my food too much on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, buddy.
Christmas brings me that joy that I need throughout a long year, and the end of the New Year's Eve gets me out of that old year and gets me into that new year. Maybe I'll change that up when I'm like 99 years old or something like that. And I'm like, man, I'm just getting old.
I'm with you. I'm the same way. The 4th got to go.
Yeah,
I love my food. I love the gathering of Thanksgiving. Christmas, come on, the birth of Christ. Yeah, we need that. And then
I can see Billy keeping the 4th with his little America shorts.
Billy's. I'm gonna answer for
America
Billy.
draws.
Guys, I would have got rid of Thanksgiving. Let me stop. We can't roast Billy when he ain't here.
No, yeah, we can. That makes it that much funnier because when he listens to this, when he edits it, he gonna be pissed off.
According to my iPhone 12, he gonna be mad listening to this.
Oh, we love you though, Billy. We love you.
We do.
Hey, y'all! Shout out to our sponsor, Thin Line Anthem. If you guys want to start getting in shape, use their supplements. Go to thinlineanthem.com. And make sure you use promo code It's Needed, all caps, no spaces, to get 25% off your order at checkout. Thank you, Thin Line Anthem, for being with us this year. It's been phenomenal. Yep. AJ, I love you, bro. I got to run. I got a haircut appointment. I was supposed to be there 10 minutes ago. Got to get tightened up. Got to get tuned up. Got to look fresh. But I'll hit you up later on, bro. And with that, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.